Well, my little daughter, we are early tonight.
You are. I like that.
Yes,
Being early is being on time.
being respectful of everybody's time.
That's exactly right. And that's a good thing as a leader. We have to develop that mindset. If we're early, we're on time. And that's a great example for
So
leaders.
we'll teach on being on time tonight.
Yeah, because we're on time. If we weren't on time, we wouldn't be teaching on it.
All right.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome.
Hallelujah for Thursday.
Let them hear from you, Bishop.
It's Thursday. It's happy Thursday where I live.
Woohoo.
Life is good. Everything is rolling along fine. I have no problems in the entire world. I have plenty of money. I feel extremely good in my body. I am ready to fight with beasts at Ephesus and go right on the kingdom.
Wow. I like that. I'm going to let you open up like that every time we get together.
It's amazing what a man will say when he's under the anointing.
This is good. We're so excited to be with you all tonight. We're excited. This is actually the last night of this week that we will both be sharing together. And then we have one more week, I believe, where we will be sharing on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but then we're going to make some changes because our institute is kicking off on Thursday night, September 3rd. Share with us a little bit about our progress with that, Dad.
Well, I found out today that we have 3 continents represented, and we had some more from Africa registered today. And we have some more from the U.S. that registered today. So it's getting down a little tight to the wire here, but people are enrolling. And it's a marvelous thing. In fact, some folks from Africa sent me a note today and said, we can't get on the website. But apparently they finally found a way to get on the website. I sent them links and prayed for them and was about ready to send them a PDF copy of the enrollment form. But we got it done. And listen, God has been so good this time. We have been so blessed in this opening. I complained about it when it was postponed back through the years and the moments we thought we'd set a mark ahead and make that deadline. We never made it. And I was a little skeptical of this one, but here we are on time. And we're not going to be able to go there on September 3rd and say, well, we're not ready, but we're here. No, we're ready.
We're more than ready.
We're more than ready.
Yes. It's exciting. It's an exciting time. We're really excited about it. We've got the website in the notes just above this video. Make sure you stop by and check it out. See all the courses that are provided through Doggett Leadership Institute and the courses. And even if you want to transfer some credits and interested in furthering your education, there are ways you can do that. One of our professors will be happy to speak with you, one of our coaches, and they'll give you a call. And we'll let you know how that can happen.
Amen. Don't forget the free book.
That's right. Get your free book. At the top of this, above this video, you'll see get your free ebook. Make sure you go over there, and just as a free gift for showing up on our brand new website, we want to give you a gift. So make sure you go and click that link and download your free ebook. Right now you can do that. But tonight we're diving into some leadership blind spots. 7 leadership blind spots. And I've experienced all of these. And then some. And then some. And I mean, personally, I've been blinded. I have to say this has been me. So I have to point the finger at myself first before I point it at anybody else. But we're equipping leaders, we're empowering leaders, and we want to help you better resource your teams. And this is one way we do that. We only have you maybe one night a week to share some of these tips and things. That's what the Leadership Institute is for, is to expand your knowledge in that arena, and also to give you resources that you can share with your team as well too. Dad, you want to add any more to that before we jump in?
Well, just a brief note. The Bible does not say the ministry is to counsel the saints for the work of the ministry. It says we are to equip the saints for the work of the ministry.
There you
And
go.
between counseling and equipping. Counseling deals with your problems. Equipping deals with making your strengths better.
That's so good.
Counseling would be to pull the keyboardist in your office and say, well, you're just not playing very well. We're going to probably have to get somebody else if you really don't just get into this and give us some energy and give us some better music. And the keyboardist looks at the pastor and says, well, the piano was made in 1923. It's a little bit old. I'm better than the piano. The pastor said, well, now, how about if we buy a new piano? Then he would move from counseling the saints to equipping the saints by getting a better piano. That would be equipping, making their life better for the overall.
Right. I like that. That's great. Got to know the difference. You got to know the difference.
What we're doing here, we are equipping you to make you better at what you do. We're taking your strengths and making those better with information.
That's right. That's exactly right. And we all are charged to grow, to do more. When you know more, you do more. When you know better, you do better. And that's what we're here to help you accomplish. So tonight we're talking to leaders, and this is going to be relative no matter where you lead or what kind of teams, even if you're leading at home. Some of these points are going to hit you even leading at home. So let's go. Let's talk about this. We're talking about blind spots, that 7 leadership blind spots. So if you lead, you are more than aware of the incredible responsibility you have toward others, because leadership by definition is not a solo sport. You're not a leader if you're by yourself. You're what's that island called? By yourself, you said. You're on an island all by yourself. So leadership isn't a solo sport. You're leading others, and how you do it ultimately determines how effective you are as a leader. It also means you need to become exceptionally self-aware of your weaknesses. Now, Dad, I know you had a thought on this.
I do. When I looked at this, I thought, uh-oh, somebody's going to say, I heard you say don't work on your weaknesses. And now you're saying, be aware of your weaknesses. I will point out there's a difference between working on your weaknesses and being aware that they exist. Not being aware they exist is a blind spot. That's what we're talking about. If you are aware that that's a weakness of yours, that it's not a blind spot anymore. The way you can compensate for that is to bring someone in who is strong where you are weak. God said his strength is made perfect in our weakness, which is where I'm weak. He didn't say he'd heal my weakness. He didn't say make it strong.
That's true.
My strength will be there.
Yes.
Incredible thing that his strength is there where I can't be.
That's why we will continue to have weaknesses, right? Because didn't he say that, who was it? And you'll have to forgive me. I have a cold, and so I've got brain fog right now. But who is it in the Bible that he was given, he wrestled with Jacob. He was given a limp so that to be a reminder to him. As a reminder, we are giving a handicap in our lives. That's what's called a weakness. It's a handicap to remind us that God is our strength. He wants to be our strength, and he can't be our strength if we're strong in all areas of our life.
It's an interesting thing. A theologian, I forget his name now, but I never forget his statement. He said, Jacob walked with a limp, and he said, I will never have a companion in my world that doesn't have a limp.
That's good. I like that.
He's had an encounter with God, and it has made an indelible mark upon his life.
We'll have to talk just about that one night, because I love that.
It's how God takes his leaders and molds them to be more effective in their life. He took every strength of Jacob's and made it better and brought it into line, got it together with focus. And then wherever Jacob was weakness, he limped along, but God's strength was always there.
Always.
Or to cover that weakness. Look at the lame one from David. I can't think of his name now. Mephibosheth.
Oh yeah. Because I started to say, you got my disease tonight.
T.D. Jakes said, when they brought him and set him at the king's table.
Yes.
They said
that illustration he gave was
his
amazing.
position at the table covered his condition.
Under the table.
Under the table, yeah.
I love that.
Never forget that. His position covered his condition. And you're going to find that a lot. Again, Mephibosheth wasn't healed, but he was placed in a place where no one really saw the condition.
That's
They
right.
saw his position. They saw who he
That's
was.
awesome. Yeah, I love that.
And God can do. Listen, I'm wired up tonight about all
I'm
this.
glad you are. That's good. That's good. That's good. It's all good. So tonight we're talking about 7 common things leaders do that drive their team crazy. 7 common things leaders do that drive their team crazy. So here we go. Let's dive in. Number 1, underestimating how much work it takes. Leaders underestimate how much work it takes. You're in an incredible position of trust as a leader. And when you say things, your team does its best to make it happen because they want to do it. They're there to serve. We're here to help make what the ideas are, the grand ideas, come to pass. But some leaders are notorious for underestimating just how much time and task it will take. And it's funny because you gave an illustration just before we came live of someone that was in both of our lives at one time and that was pastoring. And tell that story.
It's a great story. It was told me by the man who received the information or the instruction.
Yeah.
Yeah, pastor walks in on a Monday and says, I want this whole platform redone by next Sunday so that I want this, then described what he wanted. And the person that was going to do it or spearhead the doing of it said, okay, all right, it'll be done, no worries. Pastor goes on, the worker goes, gets whatever he needs from the lumberyard, the helpers he needs from the church and this and that,
Right.
and goes to tearing up a platform and starting to make another one. And about 2 p.m, the pastor comes walking back in and says, you're not finished yet? Now that's a leader who had no concept of how much time it would take. And the worker says, Pastor, you've been thinking about this for 2 weeks. You just told me this morning.
That's right.
I've only been on this a few hours. It will be done by Saturday. And the pastor says, oh, okay. He goes on. But a lot of times leaders don't have a concept.
They don't.
Of how much time. They think if they say it, it's done.
It's done. That's right. They walk off and they just assume that all the work is getting done. Now, it can, underestimating how much work something takes can seem like an initial advantage because it makes seemingly impossible things happen, but it can also be incredibly demotivating to your team when you significantly underestimate how much work something will take. And often leaders are afraid to ask just how much work something will take because they fear leaders are going to say no because they want to see it come fast. They want to make it happen. Yeah. And, but often your team's going to say yes anyway and make it happen. They just need your encouragement and understanding of what it will cost them. And there are ways, we were talking about this too, most leaders, I will say, most of the leaders I've worked with, let's just say this, in my lifetime, most of the leaders that I've worked with in my lifetime are type A personalities where they are big dreamers, big visionaries. And we want those kind of people leading us. We really do. Because they have eyes of faith. They have eyes to see, they can see things so far ahead that would scare a lot of people because they have that ability. God's gifted them with that. There's nothing wrong with that. So don't stop dreaming. Don't stop having those big ideas. We're simply saying, if you're a leader and you have those grand ideas, be realistic with the team that you need to implement those ideas, to make those come to pass. Because there are people like me that, I have ideas and things like that, but my strength, my main gift is to make those dreams come to pass. That's my strength. My strength is I come up with the list of details that it will take to make that dream come to pass. But you need both. You need both people to make that work. And then you need one person to come in and bring the fun while you're doing that project. And then you need another person that can walk alongside and follow up on things. We need all the diverse personalities to make that dream come to pass. Right, Dad?
Absolutely. You got to have a visionary. And for those of you out there who serve under a visionary and you are the recipient of instructions at a staff meeting or meeting periodically from that visionary, I will suggest this to you. Do not ever go into the presence of that visionary without a pad, notepad and paper or something to write on, because ideas come and they say those ideas. And a lot of it can't be retrieved if you miss it at the moment and you need to write it down, even if you have to come back and clarify some things. Just be aware that this is a creative person. In fact, I've seen pastors with a sharp prophetic insight. And when the sound and audio people were getting ready for the church service, I would always look at the sound engineer and say, does the pastor always have a microphone? Always.
Yes.
No, we just give him, no, get him one. He needs one at his side where anytime God gives him something, a word, if it's a keyboardist that writes songs or sings spiritual songs, make sure that they have access to a microphone, something that when the Spirit of God hits them, you don't lose what God's giving them in the midst of, we didn't record it.
That's right.
We didn't have it ready. I'd have given anything if we'd have had that recorded. No, record stuff. Make it easy. But come into these creative people, come into their presence with preparation. They will drive you nuts with a list of stuff. Oh, they're short on ideas, but don't panic. Just write the list. We can sort through the list later and find out what's the priority. But you really have to celebrate these people, because if you don't celebrate them and you don't have them, life gets boring.
That's right.
It really gets boring.
Yes, that's true. That's right. So that's one of the blind areas. Let's go into the next blind area. Impulsive, or things that drive your leaders crazy. Things that drive the team crazy. Drives your team crazy, okay? Impulsive, emotion-based decision-making. Impulsive, emotion-based decision-making. Leaders are passionate, even impulsive, if you haven't discovered that yet. They are used to create prayer. Yeah, we're going to have 40 days of fasting starting tomorrow. Nobody's had time to prepare. They are used to creating something out of nothing. Sometimes that's good, as in, hey, just like we just talked about, why don't we launch maybe 2 campuses at once? Or, hey, why don't we start a podcast or build a platform by Sunday and see if anything happens? Often, though, the impulsiveness and emotion are driven from a place of discontent with status quo. We got to shake things up. It's just something needs to change. Something needs to move. That's all. After all, that is the impetus for change, right? So we may be bothered by something we think needs fixing immediately. We may be discontent about a situation I think the entire team needs to address immediately, but not all discontent is holy. Not all discontent is holy. Sometimes discontent comes from having a bad day, or being moody, or just deciding something on the spur of the moment. And most times that decision would be reversed in about a week or two, right? Or bump what was priority number 1 down to priority 32.
And sometimes those impulsive decisions are due to a lack of planning.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Or they saw something on TV the night before and wanted to do something kind of close. I was around something like that for a while. Oh, they did it. We went to the theme park. We saw this. Let's go do that. Let's make sure we get that done by next week, you know?
And how many of us realize that you can do the same thing some other church that does, it draws 1,000 in your church and it won't draw 300.
That's right. You got to make sure that it fits your crowd. Just because you're upset about something as a leader doesn't mean it should become the top priority of the organization.
I remember when every church growth conference talked about having a bus ministry. Every church went out and bought a bus.
I
remember that. Parked in church parking lot, rusting and rotting.
Yes.
Again, impulsive stuff.
It is.
What makes one church grow won't make yours grow necessarily.
That is very important to remember.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one that drives your team crazy is being indecisive. So there's a flip side, okay? Being indecisive. Your job as a leader is to make decisions that make things happen. That doesn't mean you make decisions all by yourself, because the best leaders always involve a team in their decision making. Have any thoughts on that, Dad?
Yeah, I read a quote the other day that said, I used to think I was indecisive, but now I'm not sure.
Yeah. Selah. Think on that for a little bit.
Yeah, but again, indecision, vacillating back and forth. Again, it goes back to James. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. If you are constantly in a role of indecision, then you're
Yeah.
really double-minded. So get that repaired.
Yeah, that's right.
What is God on that?
Well, remember this, delay leads to paralysis, and
Yes.
paralysis leads to stagnation and decline. Delayed decision-making demotivates your team. That's the
Yes.
key word for tonight. What demotivates my team? I want to focus on what motivates my team. That's what I want to focus on. So make a decision and create a process for making sure your decisions get made regularly and quickly.
Yes.
Decide, period.
Absolutely.
All right, Dad, you want to share number 4 with us?
Number 4, being too decisive. Oh no, we're going to the other extreme.
Yes.
And not valuing input.
Wow, that's a big one.
Every problem has a flip side. The flip side being indecisive is being too decisive.
Yes.
Back and forth. Goes a little bit crazy. And you can be either, or sometimes I guess even both. And that's the sad thing, is when you don't value someone's input. And generally, oh, God help me, because everybody's not this way, but there are a significant number of leaders that I've met that if they want to do something and they don't want anybody to disagree with it, they say, you know, God told me to do.
The abuse of the power of God's name.
Absolutely. You wrap it with God said, who's going to fight it?
That's right.
And that's really, if a leader has a mandate from God to do something, I think it's borne witness of in the team for the most part, or at least 2 or 3 in the team can validate that as, yes, that's a God thing. But for the most part, if you want support from your team, then connect what you see to their values.
That's good.
What do they value about this vision? And if I can
Right.
connect what I see about this vision to what they value about this decision, then I've got commitment.
That's good. That's powerful. I love that. That's really good. Well, excuse me. It's a good practice for every senior leader to be a part of something they don't lead.
Amen.
And you know, Dad, I remember you did that back before it was a thing. You know, when you were pastoring in Louisiana and I was growing up, I was still at home. This was before, you know, I was married and moved away. But I remembered you were a pastor in the community, but you were also a part of, I think, the Chamber of Commerce. You were a part of organizations in the city with other leaders where you were not leading that particular group, but you simply attended and supported and was a part of. And that is extremely important for leaders to step away from just leading the one thing you lead and be a part of something that's greater than you. What are your thoughts on that? What did it do for you? What did you learn from that?
I learned just, well, I actually heard somebody say that they had done that in their city and what a difference it made. And I thought, why not? Why not? One way to bring our church outside the walls, the church, is for me to be out there.
Right.
So rather than going out holding a street service, I think probably the greatest move God led me to make is I walked in unannounced to the mayor's office of our city.
Okay.
The receptionist said, may I have your name? I said, I'm Reverend Doggett, pastor, da-da-da-da-da. And I said, I'd just like to see the mayor for 5 minutes if he's got time. She said, let me check. And she called in and said that Reverend Doggett is here to see you for 5 minutes. And he said, send him in. I walked in, introduced myself. I have no idea whether he was a Republican, Democrat, or I don't know what he was. Didn't ask, didn't care. A
Right.
big out man. And I went in, shook his hand, and I said, Mayor, I'm glad to be here. I want you to know that I'm for this city just like you're for this city. And I want to do what I can to help you make this city the kind of city that people would want to live in. I'll do it on my pulpit, and I'm going to pray for you doing it in this office. Can you give me about 3 of your prayer needs that you want prayed for in your life? Anything we say here is confidential. It won't go any further. And he gave me 3 prayer needs and cried, wept like a baby. I prayed with him right there. And I got up and he said, where are you going? I said, my 5 minutes are up. I've got to go now. I'll call you later.
Respect of his time.
I said, no, sir, I asked for 5 minutes of your time. That's what I wanted. That mayor befriended me, and every World's Day of Prayer, I got the call to go pray at City Hall. Every time there was anything going on, get Reverend Doggett, get Reverend Doggett, get Reverend Doggett. Got so when we built a new church, I invited the mayor to the dedication. He
Right.
walked in. I told him, I said, he's Catholic. I said, come to our dedication. I want you to sit with me on the platform. I want to introduce you. I want you to say a few words. And I said, and there are votes out there. I'm telling you, there's some votes out there.
Right.
And
That's right.
I said, but you sit there, but I understand your time frame and you don't have to stay for the entire service. If you need to slip out, let me know and I will cover your moving out and let them know that you just have other things to do today. And he said,
Right.
would you do that for me? I said, absolutely, be honored to. He stood there and I saw his suit pants just shake as he greeted the church and talked about what a great church it was and great influence we'd had on the city and how much we'd helped him with praying. And he turned around and put $100 bill in my hand and said, put that in the collection, and left it.
Wow.
That's a
I'm telling
long
you,
story, but
it makes a difference though.
it shows what you can do with just courtesy and influence.
That's it.
Just be supportive of. So I wasn't asking him for a thing for our church.
Right.
Not one thing. It's what can I do for you personally, and what can I do for this office that you carry? Because I know responsibility. I know what that's like.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want your job for anything, but I will pray for you. And when you as leaders get connected in areas that are not right at the church, just build relationships. Don't try to convert everybody. I'm still of the opinion Jesus never told us to witness. He said, be a witness.
Be a witness. That's good.
Be one.
Yes, it's true.
I'm sorry, baby. Go ahead.
No, don't apologize. I think this needs to be said. It's so important because right now with the temperature in our world, the way it is, it's us versus them versus us. It's so much division that, you know, we should be asking God, and I'm not saying that nobody's doing that, but really upping our prayer life and asking God, how can we bring unity into a disconnected society right now? How can I be a solution to something, to a problem, or at least be a help in what's going on? And I think that's a way. It's not coming in with any political platform. It's not coming in and saying I'm this, but I'm not that, but just saying, just what you said, what are 3 things I can pray for you about? What are 3 things I can pray for you about? How can I support this office in the best way possible by my ministry, what we do in this city? It's just saying, I'm not here for anything from you. I'm here to offer prayer. That's my gift. That's what I can do. So I'm offering that to you. And you see how the walls broke down, and you see how God was able to come in. And I remember those years growing up in the city, and they were great memories, great. And I remembered you always had influence with people of all diverse religions and races and everything within our city, and was very well respected in our city. And if people are watching from Louisiana, they can confirm that. But I think that's where it starts. It starts by us laying down our personal views and just picking up God's word and saying, this is what Jesus would do. Where's that bracelet? WWJD. What would Jesus do in this situation? And then do that.
Yeah, years after we'd moved away, we called back in because we wanted to bring the singing group that we had with our family back in. And I was going to preach a service at the Civic Center in that city. And I called him, the janitor, I guess, of the Civic Center, said, we're not renting this out anymore. I said, okay. He said, but let me check. I said, okay, can I just call you back? And he said, sure, just call me back tomorrow. I called back the next day. He said, Reverend, I don't know what it is, but he said, the mayor likes you. I said, who is it now? The same mayor?
Same mayor.
He said, the mayor said, give Reverend Doggett anything he wants and don't charge him a dime for it.
Wow.
Reverend, come on in. You're welcome to be here.
That's awesome.
I thought that's influence.
Yeah.
But it's not influence I sought.
No.
The agenda I had in walking in his office years earlier was, I want to help you.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be silent.
Yeah.
And when leaders begin to take this on, I want to be a part of something I don't lead.
Yes.
I want to be a part of something that I can participate in and people can see that I am loyal to these things.
Yes.
And I think when we do that as leaders, we do set a good example.
Yes. I agree. I agree. And I think that's a powerful point, and it needed a little extra attention. I know our time's coming to an end, so we're just going to drop these last couple in your lap, uh, highlight them. The next one, because they're important to know, creating an unsustainable pace. You
Yeah.
cannot create an unsustainable pace for your team. You can be tempted to burn the midnight oil as a leader. Most great leaders do at one time or another, but leaders can also create an unsustainable pace for their teams. Uh, your team feels guilty about going home long before you do. And when you're pounding out emails at 11, 12 o'clock at night, 5 in the morning, 7 days a week, it can make your team feel lazy, like they're failures. But it also makes you look incredibly unhealthy. Just because you work long hours doesn't mean everyone has to. One of a leader's chief responsibilities is to create a sustainable pace for the entire team. So keep that in mind. Dad, why don't you share with us number 6?
Okay, number 6, working too few hours. And the key point there is always work as hard as you expect your team to work, even harder. And that is true, but sometimes we end up working too few hours. You
Yeah,
have to use wisdom in budgeting, realizing that your team has another life,
that's right.
their family, their children, and you don't want to destroy that in the name of all that's holy. If you're a Christian leader and in a church leading, you have to
Yeah,
budget that time with wisdom. You don't want to work too few, but you don't want to work too much either. You don't want to burn them out, but you don't want to leave them with too much left to do and always under pressure. So
that's right.
again, leadership is wisdom as
It
well.
is. It is wisdom. And from a team member's standpoint too, listen, you have a voice. You can speak up for yourself and you can say, we have people on our team that do that. Such and such days are our family days. And because we work all week long, that particular day we've set aside for our family because we are here serving at church on Sundays. And so we know that, we respect that, we honor that. You can't blame a leader for something you don't communicate with them. So it goes both ways. So don't be mad at your leaders for putting things on you that you're willing to take without speaking up or saying something. It goes both ways. And then the last one is to expecting others to put in more than you're willing to put in. Leadership requires your all. More is required. That's what the scripture says. To whom much is given, much is required.
Yes.
If it comes to your organization requiring donations, if you're up there and you're a pastor and you're asking the church to give, you better be the better giver. You better be the bigger giver if you're asking for a specific gift of some size. If your organization requires volunteers, volunteer for something, even though you get paid for your staff role. I got to say that about my pastors. My pastors are the first ones to dive in and they serve. They get their hands dirty. They get out there and they do the work. Never expect more from your team than you're willing to personally put in. Focus on roles in which you can contribute most. Dad, why don't you share that last thought with us?
The last thought is when a leader's working less passionately, fewer hours than their team, the team loses passion for the mission and respect for the leader. And when respect for the leader is lost, that can rarely be recaptured. You might
That's it.
recapture a passion for the mission, but it's really
Right.
when you lose respect as a leader.
That's it. That's it. And I will drop this too, because I lead a team at my church. And one of the things that we've been trained and we've learned in our training is that there are that team members, and I actually just can't, I'm coming back onto the team from a sabbatical. I took some time off of my team to reset. I needed to get some things in order and some things taken care of, but I didn't stop going to church. I still went to church. I actually went to church and I sat wherever they sat me. If it was in the back, in the back. If it was in the front, it was in the front. I I led by example for the time that I wasn't showing up to serve. You've got to remember to do that. But when it's your time, if you need to take a sabbatical or a time away, we call it the off ramp. If you need to take the off ramp for a season on your team, know that I need to take this off ramp for a season, communicate that effectively and respectfully, and then still show up because you're still leading by example. It's extremely important to communicate and to lead by example. And hey, I don't always do it right. We don't always do it right or get it right, but we strive to, we try to, and we share our experiences with you. So Dad, any last minute thoughts?
Yeah, it's just important to celebrate. And the beauty of this is when one church department celebrates the success of another department.
Oh, huge. We celebrate all wins,
Yeah.
all wins. Anytime we can bring a cake out, we are bringing a cake out.
It's hard to be,
Balloons.
it's hard to be mad when you're eating a piece of cake.
It's really hard to be mad when you're eating a piece of cake. And I'll be honest with you, this week we're going back to 2 services, and it can be draining on a team that has to serve for 2 services and be on point and all those things. I'm just going to drop a little idea in your lap that I suggested for our team for this Sunday. We've done it before, but I wanted to do it again. So this Sunday, we are pumping in some loud music into the atrium area where we all meet for our huddle. And we are throwing ourselves a dance party. We are kicking off our huddle time before, when our team gets together to go over the assignments for the day. We're going to kick it off, and we're going to do a little line dancing before church starts. Yes, we are. We're going to get our praise on. So I told them to wear their dancing shoes this Sunday.
And that's another reason I don't go to your church.
But we make it fun to go to church. We make it fun to serve God. We make it fun. And you got to make it fun for your team. There's a lot of heavy stuff going on. And so sometimes you just got to bring the balloons out, get some cake, and you got to throw your dancing shoes on, and you just got to dance off the burden.
I remember.
And I felt like, yeah.
We had us all doing the electric slide during praise and worship.
Yeah. You can't be mad and do the electric slide. You just can't be mad and do the electric slide. Well, we've been on a little bit longer than normal tonight, but we won't be here forever. We won't be here in about a week. So we took a little extra time tonight, but thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. Make sure you click the link, go get your free ebook on the website. Check out the website and Doggett Leadership Institute. It's not too late to enroll, or if you're not going to enroll, but you want someone else to, you can scholarship them. So
Yeah.
make sure you reach out and let us know if there's someone you would like to provide a scholarship for. The word's bigger than it actually would cost you. So make sure you just reach out to us and let us share that information with you. And you could really bless someone's life that is into leadership and really wanting to grow in that area of their life. Dad?
I'm tired. It's time to
Tired? Peace out. I'm tired too. We're all going to bed over here. Go ahead.
I need the off ramp.
You need all right, you go ahead and get the off ramp.
All right, got it.
All right, we love you guys. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you again on Monday night on Dad's page at 8 o'clock. Y'all have a wonderful weekend. God bless.